Hey, it's your Pan-African World Diaspora Champion, Trish Adora, and you are watching O-Face Wrestling.
Hey guys, it's your girl Red Velvet, and you are watching O Face Wrestling.
Hola todos, soy la fashionista Roche Chanel, and you're watching O Face Wrestling. Smooches!
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today on O Face Wrestling. This is your host JT. Today I'm joined by my co-host Jaxie, and we are joined by Ayesha Raymond. So thanks for joining us today, Ayesha.
Hello, podcast world.
Hey.
So for everyone watching this, if you don't know already, Ayesha Raymond was in the very first ever WWE Mae Young's Classic tournament. And she had her match against, the great Toni Storm, who's, doing a lot of things in NXT right now. So it's a true honor to have you on the show, especially because I was a big fan of the Mae Young Classic. And I remember seeing you in that match, and you stood out to me because I really liked your look. Like you had like the little paint on your nose. And I thought it was, I love face paint and all that kind of stuff. So you really stood out. And it's kind of like shame on me that there was just so many women in that, tournament that I liked in general. Like I just never got around to like kind of following up with everyone. But after doing some of the research that I've done on you since, we scheduled this interview, I've been seeing a lot of your matches, and I really dig, a lot of your, outfits and your character and stuff like that. So I'm excited to learn more about you and learn more about, everything about like your character and stuff like that. But I like to do ladies first. So, Jaxie, do you want to get started with the first question?
Oh, well, how lovely of you, JT. Thank you. So, yeah, let's just kind of jump straight into it. I want to go with like a really fun one. And I kind of want to know what your favorite wrestling stipulation is.
My favorite wrestling stipulation?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, a count out. I love that the suspenseful, in my head, that match should always end with a tussle around the ring, some kind of suspense. Somebody gets hurt, somebody gets injured, and they get to the ring just before the ref calls the 10. And I just love it. I don't care how many times it's been done, but that's my favorite ever.
Oh, nice.
I think it's like awesome.
JT?
I like how some wrestlers like time it so perfectly where they jump in the ring right at like when it's about to hit 10 seconds. I'm just like wondering if anyone's ever like screwed up and didn't make it unintentionally, but like I know y'all, like it has to be stressful on y'all to try to time it so perfectly to make it seem so like as intense as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I've never done one. I've only watched it because I'm just in that fear that I maybe will screw it up. I know I will.
No, I think you'd be fine, to be honest with you. But yeah. So my first question, and I kind of mentioned this, when I was doing a little introduction and stuff like that. I am a huge fan of wrestlers with really like dope like characters, their image, their attire, stuff like that. So this is kind of a little bit of an evolution kind of question. So when I first, discovered you, like I mentioned at the Mae Young Classic, I really dug your look. I thought it was really awesome looking. And then, like I said, when I started doing research, I saw that match with Melina Gray where you had the Predator kind of like gear coming out with the mask and stuff like that. So I just want to know, like, what is the inspiration to all these different, looks and stuff like that, especially like the Predator gear? Like I really have to know.
To be honest with you completely, it's my life motto, my life mantra has always been live to be different, and your difference can change the world. And no matter what I've done in my life or how I've walked, I've always done things slightly across the norm. So I like to stand out, and I like trying to bring a different thing to what is my product. There's so many different dimensions that I've been able to use to my character over my career, whether it had been the Amazon, the female Predator, Big Femme Vader, going to Japan and learning all that other stuff. But when it came to putting all the little trinkets in, the Predator mask was just a long time coming, to be fair. Like I was told to get that probably about 4 years ago, and I just didn't do it because I didn't want to be one of those people who at one point there was like a boom of masks and face paint and all this other stuff, and I was just like, I really want to do it, but everybody's doing it too. And then with the face paint at the classic, like I love 80s hair metal and 80s rock, and like I grew up listening to guys like Kiss, and I was just like, this is my one opportunity to live out my fantasy, so I kind of will.
So with like the Predator look, so it basically like the Predator was like your character, and then because of the fact that was your character, it was like, I have to actually wear like the actual Predator gear from like the movie. So is that what you're basically saying?
Oh yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Japanese audience, they're very like, when it comes to gimmicks and props and things like that, it gets over really well. So when I went over, the thing that my friend literally said to me is, you have to do it. Like you have to do it now, or you're never going to do it. People still call you the female Predator, Amazon in Japan. So just do it, and it will work, and it did.
Yeah, it was really dope looking. When I saw that, I was like, just like, wow, like, and like you mentioned, like standing out in wrestling is really important because there are thousands of wrestlers out there, trying to make a name for themselves. And you can't just, blend in with the bunch. You have to stand out in some way, shape, or form. And mask, your attire, your look is really important, especially like, if you're trying to like get to like WWE or so, like characters and being the all around entertainment is extremely important. That's what they look for. And I definitely feel like, like you definitely have been standing out. Like I said, you always had the dope looks and stuff like that. So I like what you're doing. You stand out, and obviously you stood out enough, for WWE to reach out to you as well. So, good job so far.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Now, Jaxie, your turn.
I'm going to kind of piggyback off of JT's questions. Just kind of actually going back to what you were talking about, the Predator costume, especially during the Melanie Gray match. Who designed your gear?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, there's a very, very, very good seamstress up here in Scotland. Her name is Tracy Pretons, and she was working a lot with the company that I was working for at the time. And I was in Japan, and I was seeing all these different kind of like different kimonos and different kind of battle armor. And then for some reason, I just wanted a belt. So I just started drawing up all of these different stuff, and I sent a load of these things to her. And it went from having shoulder pads to me ripping off the shoulder pads one day, and the shoulder pads became knee braces. But I was the one that designed it.
Oh, cool. Well, that was definitely one of the coolest looks. I must admit, I really enjoyed seeing the Predator mask, especially because my partner is a huge Predator fan anyway. So he's actually got a mask just like that as well.
Weirdly enough, I've actually got it right here. Like somebody gave me the Predator. Can I see it on camera? Yay!
Oh,
Actually,
wow, yay.
The green screen is ruining
that's so
it.
cool.
So one of the guys from the Fierce Females Dojo gave it to me just before Christmas, and I was just like, oh,
that's awesome.
So like with the Predator, like I know a lot of people, this is kind of a little going off topic out of wrestling, but like I know when Alien versus Predator came out, a lot of people did not like it. Like, what did you ever see it, and what was your opinion if you did?
I had to see it. Of course I saw it. The thing is, I liked it because I appreciated both movies, but nothing will ever top the first Alien movie for me and the first Predator movie. It was just nice seeing it together. Everybody hated Freddy versus Jason too.
Exactly.
I don't know why.
I think an idea that sounds good to put two of them in the movie, and then it just kind of doesn't go right. Because I think the only issue with that movie in per se is that, when you compare Predator in the first movie compared to Predator in Alien versus Predator, he's not the type to work alongside humans. So it made no sense that he was willing to work alongside. They've got too much pride. When you go back to, the whole, pride of him taking off his mask and showing Arnie his face, there's no way he's going to expose himself like that unless he expects to be killing that guy. So then when you get to the Alien versus Predator movie, you just think, well, he just killed anyone who's in his way, regardless as to whether or not they're human or alien.
Yeah, I mean,
but I mean, overall, I still actually liked it. The action for me was really good. So slave movie.
No, I like the action explosions too, but I agree with you. They weren't like the one thing I did, especially when I started using the character a lot more, was research a lot into the race, and the race only kill those who are worthy to them, so they don't kill unworthy people. So the fact that he was just randomly killing whoever, whenever he wanted, was just completely against the actual backstory. So I was just like,
and technically, like, he saw her as worthy, which is why he marked her. So it's like, technically, isn't she your enemy then? Isn't she the one that you'd be wanting to go for? But you killed other randomers that probably aren't worthy and kept the one that is worthy alive. So it's a complete contradiction of the first one. That being said, though, I still liked it. I really did. I thought the acting was great in it as well. So like, I don't think that let it down either. So
Yeah, it was like one of my favorite all-time. It was like one of my favorite all-time movies, honestly. And I think, like, I don't remember the whole storyline on the original one because it's been so long. I just remember him and Arnold Schwarzenegger duking it out throughout the movie. But I think it was kind of more of a, like, that wasn't the predators were there to kill the aliens. It was like their mission. The humans, obviously they're not a threat really, realistically. And he didn't seem to have much interest in killing any of the humans, even that old guy. Like, the only reason he even like killed him is because he like shot the fire at him, So it's like, I think it was one of those, like, I'm not here to kill her. They were already at a disadvantage because their guns were taken away at the very beginning. They weren't where they were supposed to be, and the aliens already killed 2 of the predators. So I think it's one of those, why not join up with this girl? She seems worthy. I think didn't she like save his life or something like that? I'm trying to think. Something happened.
I really do remember. I haven't watched that movie in quite a few years, I must admit.
Yeah,
I'll rewatch it for you and then give you a re.
Yeah.
I kind of want to rewatch it.
Let us know. Everyone watching this will not now want to go rewatch Alien vs Predator.
It was a good movie.
Really well
People like the pickle movies if it's not perfect, I get it. It's 2 major icons in the movie together. People expected to be to their liking, and I guess it wasn't, but we all liked it, so that's all that matters. So I think it's my turn now, Jaxie.
That's true as well.
Yes.
Okay. So now my question for you is kind of going back to the Mae Young Classic. So it's kind of a 2 question in one kind of thing. So how did you get that opportunity? And then also tell me a little bit about your experience doing the Mae Young Classic.
I'll answer it backwards. The experience was phenomenal, and it was basically a chance for someone who had lived, breathed, and ate wrestling from God knows when to just literally do it in full scale. I got to go through the performance center. It was just a dream come true. Getting the opportunity at the time, my trainer was Robbie Brookside, the now NXT trainer, and I guess just me completely keeping in contact all the time with him and seeing the work that I was doing was what led me up to that position.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's always
I kind of want to back off of exactly kind of what you were talking about with that. But just backtrack a little about kind of what really inspired you to get into a career of wrestling, and whether or not there were any specific wrestlers that inspired you to want to become a wrestler.
I just literally, the story that I told at the Classic is completely true, and I say it all the time. I grew up watching wrestling with my brothers and my grandfather, and it was literally, I saw that, and that was what I wanted to do. It was wrestlers like Chris Jericho who literally, like, to me, encaptured like the entertainment and the athleticism of wrestling from his career in WCW and Japan, and then coming to WE. It was just like, And then when I saw Chyna walk out that day and grab Terry literally in that Nelson and rag her around, I literally turned to my brother. I went, I'm going to do that. That's going to be me. And it happened. But that was me. I literally loved it. It was something that I fell in love with. I wasn't particularly extremely athletic when I was growing up. I know I'm quite big, but I just loved the mix of athleticism and entertainment, and that's what wrestling was for me.
That's great. Thanks.
So speaking of that, like the athleticism entertainment, like how do you feel like how much of like the kind of like the because obviously when you watch wrestling you just look at like the athleticism and ring kind of stuff, like how do you feel like important it is also like the blend in like everything else like the promos and like the entrance and the character and stuff like that?
To me, the hardest thing now is the generation we have now, where your social media is the most important. As we drilled promos over and over and over again, and to be honest, it still is one of the things that I lack in doing as much, and I should do it all the time. I really should. But in terms of just kind of meshing everything together, I always found the action part in the ring and the athleticism more easier for me. Um, it, to me, what scares me now is the social media aspects of making that a full package of a wrestler. I'm just like, oh, bad juju. No.
Yeah, social media can be a really good thing and a really bad thing. Obviously, like we see it being used in storylines all the time. AEW, WWE, like they're making it part of the storylines. Like feuds will start based off of two wrestlers tweeting each other and stuff like that. Then, I know like for indie wrestlers, like a lot of them like to interact with their fans on social media. It plays a big role in them getting their name out there and promoting themselves and their merch and stuff like that. So it is like really important. But then, you know, there's also the negativity that you may or may not see. If you tweet the wrong thing, it may resurface years later. And really, like I've seen that happen with WWE wrestlers all the time, you know, like, oh, 10 years ago, Billy Bob tweeted this and now he's taken off TV. And yeah, so it's pretty intense, but yeah, like you know, a lot of wrestlers have used social media to get themselves over, and it definitely works. You know, it's just at the same time I understand some people just don't like social media, and I get it. You know, I'm kind of personally trying to weed myself off of it just because it sucks on the mental, and it also can be very distracting as well. Like I find myself at work always checking Twitter or something like that. And it's like, oh, and then my supervisor walks by.
It can also be a huge support system. It can also be a huge support system.
Yeah, it can too, definitely.
I mean, Ayesha, for you, you mentioned that you have brothers. So have you got quite a few? Are they older, younger?
I've got two older brothers. One of them currently lives. They both actually live in London, and a younger sister.
Oh, okay. So they must be your biggest fans then.
Whenever I've done something, they've clipped it, they've shared it, they share it between their friends. When the classic actually happens, all my family were in Jamaica. I was wrestling in Japan at the time, and they were able to show the footage to my grandfather, who has passed away now, but at the time he was quite ill. But just having him be able to see that with the entire family just meant so much to me.
Oh. Wow, I mean, I'm really sorry to hear your loss, but I know that he probably is super proud of what you've managed to accomplish so far.
I mean, I know my family are my biggest fans, but sometimes it's hard because I've never brought them in on the kind of, it sounds weird, they're not kayfabe. I haven't unkayfabed them. So everything that they watch on the TV is what they watch. I remember they saw me basically fall on my face from like the edge of a ring, and my nan was sitting over a balcony watching this match in fright and terror because she thought I was going to die. But in the entire theatrical point of wrestling, they still haven't. My sister knows, but my nan, my nan and my mom,
quite cottoned on to that. Yeah,
no.
I can imagine that. I've got three sisters, and you know, we've all at some point watched wrestling in our lives. Myself and my twin sister are just very much more involved with it than my other two. But I could already tell you, they know about kayfabe and everything. But if I was involved in that, my sisters would probably be like the biggest, angriest people on social media against anyone I would feud with, just because they could. So I can imagine your siblings would probably be the same.
Yeah, no, they really are. Like my sister really, 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 really disliked Kaylee Ray after WOS because she was the one on the other side, but because it was the feud, we're all feuding. So she was like, "You're the good guy. That was the bad guy." When she saw the multi-women's match, that was the person that she didn't like. So I was like, "Oh well, Katie's doing her job then. She's a heel."
Well, at least you know she's got your back.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's also very true and scary at the same time.
Yes.
So like this just came to me too, and this is actually not one of the questions I have written down here, but it just like came to my mind. After like you mentioned like your family and all, like it has a really big support system for you and everything like that. So and also like you mentioned the Mae Young Classic and stuff like that. So after the Mae Young Classic, like how did that affect your career? Did you get like a crap load of bookings, a lot of like podcast requests, stuff like that? Like just things kind of like blow up for you after that?
Yeah, it was really weird. Like I don't again, I already told you I don't handle social media very well. So I didn't handle it as well as I should have at the time. And I'm learning now. Lockdown has made me learn. But there was like a floodload of like messages going in through to my wrestler page for Facebook. But I had message requests in my Instagram, like 120 message requests long, and I was just like, oh, brain hurts. But you try as much to deal with it as much as you can. In terms of like bookings and things like that, I got more work in Europe, so I started working a lot more in Germany and Austria. I really wanted to go back to France. I did that too. And obviously I went back to Japan for a more extended period of time.
Well, that's really good that you know you definitely got a lot of the bookings and all. I can
I'm
understand
going to
like
jump in.
I can definitely understand how it could be like a little
I was going
overwhelming
to
with
say, I
the
was going to
social
jump in
media.
with a random question myself.
Oh yeah, go for it, Jack.
It's when your phone goes off and you're like, stop, just go
I'm
away.
just going to
Stop
jump
it.
in because you said you enjoyed performing Germany. And so I just want to know, what was it like wrestling there? I mean, I'm just wondering in terms of, wrestling in Germany, France, and those other places in Europe, how different is it compared to like, being able to then experience some a level of the Mae Young Classic?
The wrestling for GWF was amazing and is amazing. I mean, not to say was, because it's just wrestling isn't happening right now. But Berlin and German wrestling and GWF was like one of my like most loved moments and is one of my most loved things to do. I love the company, I love the promotion, I love the people around there, and the fans are so receptive, and it's really weird. They crowned me their first black champion in Berlin, with the crowds roaring, but that things like that like makes me think any stereotype that anybody may have doesn't exist. Not in my perspective, I'm sorry, no.
Well, big congratulations to that. That's history making right there. So, very congratulations.
Thank you.
So yeah, congratulations as well, and I mean, especially like as far as like history making. And this question kind of goes with this. So obviously at WrestleMania, we saw two women main event WrestleMania, and this is like the first time like two black women main event at WrestleMania. So I typically always ask this question. So if you had an opportunity to main event WrestleMania and you could choose anyone as your opponent, who would you select?
Right now, if I could do a creator roster, I would love to do the rematch that we couldn't get to do because of COVID and travel restrictions and everybody just changing lives. I want to wrestle Jamie Hayter again at WrestleMania. I think it would be amazing.
That would be interesting.
The last time she wrestled, she threw me for a door. So like,
wow. Retribution is still yet to come then.
I never got a rematch. Like I did, yeah. I went to Japan, she went to Japan, and then we just never. It's just like, oh.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye out, and hopefully we'll get to see that rematch at some point.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I mean, even kind of going off from what we were talking about, live events and things like that. I did want to kind of ask like a more serious question, which is kind of, have you had to deal with any sort of hecklers that have may have like been a lot more, aggressive towards persons of color? And how have you managed to handle those sorts of situations if you have found yourself in one?
It's really weird. Like the only experience I've had recently, and I say that recently, and it's just traumatic to say this recently, is I was wrestling for a company in Edinburgh, and there is no disrespect towards this company whatsoever, because when I finish the story, it will make you feel better. I was making my entrance to the ring, and somebody in the crowd shouted, something, 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 go back to your own country. But I didn't hear it. Finished the match, did everything, did whatever I could. And when I came back up, my 3 friends were stood asking if I'd heard what had happened. They dragged this guy up to apologize to me, because obviously things like that don't happen. And at the same time, Ollie Brown, Rampage, was there. And Rampage was furious. The guy did apologize in the end, but more people were in shock that something like that actually happened now for no reason. Like, if you want me to go back to my own country, well, then I'll take a 5-hour train back to England. Okay. But that's as far as I'm going. But when it was done, I didn't actually tell the promoter, which is my fault. I didn't think it was an issue that needed to be brought up. It was sorted out there and then. You know, the guy apologized, what have you. But the promoter did message me back, and he apologized. He felt terrible for what had happened, and he felt terrible that I didn't come to him and tell him. And I didn't feel like he needed to apologize for that, because it wasn't his fault. I didn't want to bring up the subject, because I didn't want his company to be labeled as something that it's not. That's one bad egg in the crowd. It has nothing to do with him, and it was sorted out.
Of course, yeah. Well, I'm glad that it was kind of, it was picked up on, and I'm glad that it was addressed. I'm very glad that he also apologized, and I hope he meant it. But I'm also very sorry that something like that happened to you.
I mean, it sounds really weird, but you become, I don't know if it's wrestling for so long in different parts of England and for different places in England, but there are certain things that it's a horrible sentence, but you kind of become sensitized to it, because I generally didn't hear it. Apparently it was so loud, but I didn't. It was just like
yeah I get you.
And it shouldn't be that way. That's a horrible thing to say. Nobody should think that way, but that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, there's just bad people out there that just have the bad mindset. Sometimes people get too into the shows as well, where they'll say things that they shouldn't say. I understand why, like, the promoter would apologize, even though it's not his fault. Like, because I go to an indie promotion by my house called NCW, and a lot of the same people go every show. So, for all that person who said that could be a regular for that show. And, of course, the owner of the promotion probably, doesn't want you to think that, oh, hey, that's the kind of crowd they have, stuff like that. So it's like, I totally understand. I would do the same thing if I was a promoter and I had a fan, yell something inappropriate as well. Because I've seen people, they say pretty mean things at in the event I go to. It's nothing to that severity or anything like that, but like, people, like, they just get so into the show, and they don't really think sometimes. They just, they could be kind of rude and ignorant and not think about it. But then depending on what they say, that could be who they are, and they're just being a dick, like, so. But yeah, people just get so into the show, and they yell these things, especially at the heels. They are yelling mean things at the heels, and I get it, they're a heel. You're as a fan, you're kind of supposed, that's how it works. But you have to learn, that A, this is kayfabe, isn't it? Yeah, and then B, don't go too far, at the end of the day.
I mean, I feel bad for the fans getting labeled with it sometimes. Sometimes the wrestlers get a little bit carried away. I mean, I remember being I was in a 4-person faction in Norwich, and there was a promo being cut after the show with a tag team that was in the ring. And the wrestler that was in the ring decided to look at the 4 black people on the outside and tell us to go back to our concrete jungle, where everybody in the building realized what he said was wrong, but he was so in the moment that he was still going, you this, but everyone was silent. We all just kind of looked at each other like, did that just happen?
Wow.
But
I mean, I don't know how someone like that could openly speak like that in front of so many people and actually not feel how embarrassed they are.
It wasn't
how they're portraying themselves to the world as this ugly person. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, some people, that's just like a part of their kind of like their culture, and they just don't understand like the things they say can be offensive. Like, I know Jerry the King Lawler, like, he says stuff all the time on commentary, and it's like, why would you say that? Like, he's like still in his mind, he's living in the 90s where like it was like semi like okay to say this. Like, he made that comment about one of the what are they called? The Lucha house party people. Like he said something like a jumping bean or something like that, and people on Twitter like, why would he say this and stuff like that? So some people, that's just how they are, and they just don't realize how it comes off. Like to them it's normal and okay, but to society it's
shouldn't
not.
be allowed on the mic anymore. Jerry Lawler is
Yeah,
probably
no,
one of them.
I don't know why they still put him in front of a mic, but yeah.
Well, this isn't about Jerry Lawler.
You've made it about him now.
It was
about
I had to use that example, you know, since I saw him on WrestleMania. I was like, oh
He's
my
trying
God,
to get those Twitter hits.
Exactly. He gets them. He gets them. But yeah, that's all the questions I had. Did you have any more, Jaxie?
I do have one more. So Ayesha, just in general now, like in your current state, in terms of wherever you are based now, if you could choose any promotion, which promotion would you most want to work for at this moment in time?
At this moment in time, if I could choose any promotion which I would want to work for, I can honestly say I would want to make Fierce Females what I think it should be. I am still a wrestler, don't get me wrong, but I literally want to have the promotion that you talk about now. I'm tired of talking about everybody else's promotion. It's my turn.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
And I know I said this last recording. I know, Jaxie, you were probably hoping she would say AEW. Is that correct?
No. He always thinks that. Like, okay, I must admit, I do really, right now, AEW is probably my favorite promotion. I must admit that, but it's mainly because of the wrestlers that we're seeing on it. Okay, so it's not actually like the promotion. Okay, so I'm always asking because I'm curious, and it also helps me actually get an idea of promotions that I might not necessarily know about. So no, I'm not always looking for an AEW answer.
If you're asking if I would like an AEW contract or any of those other contracts, I mean, like, just throw them at me and I'll read them all.
I'm not gonna lie. If I could choose an opponent for you right now, apologies about that. If you heard that sneeze in the background,
yeah, I think we heard it.
I'm so sorry. That was really loud and that really terrified me. That was my partner. Yeah, sorry. If there is one person that I could actually ask for you to face right now, I'd love to see you versus Jade Cargill from AEW right now. Yeah, I would really love to see that. So if I can get that to happen, trust me, I will make that happen.
Oh, okay. You want to hear something funny? Somebody else said that to me the other day.
Oh, really?
I did another interview, and somebody said that to me the other day, and I was like, oh, okay.
Maybe I should get. She's been doing so well, as well as her Red Velvet. Both of those women really stand out, especially when they were in that tag match for me. And I love both of those women. Mm-hmm. And I think when I was doing some research in preparation for this, and just kind of watching the way that you move and stuff, for some reason I really felt like Jade just popped up in my head as like a really good opponent. That would be like a really good opponent for you. So yeah, if I can, if I end up making any acquaintances in AEW, that is one of those requests that I will try to truly make.
Ooh, you work from your side. I'll get better at social media, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. We'll do it together. We'll tackle this together and get my dream match.
And I would
love to actually see the female Predator just turn up on AEW and show Jade a thing or two. Maybe put a little bit of worry in her boots.
Hint. # Big Fem Vader to AEW.
Yes. Gonna get that hashtag going.
Let's do it. And I'm gonna throw in my dream match for you in AEW since Jaxie just did hers. So she said Jade. I would love that, but I really would like to see versus her rival right now, Red Velvet. I think the whole power and athleticism kind of together. I think that would make a really fun match. And you'd be surprised how well what was that?
Yeah. I was just saying these are two of the hottest women. So either way, I would be happy to see Ayesha face either woman.
This will work. Why don't we do Joshi rules? We'll make it a triple threat match.
Ooh,
go for it.
Go. Even better. Yeah.
Can we
Okay, we might
pull?
have to see if we can get this done now.
See? Yes, we do.
Can we add
Yeah.
a hardcore stipulation and bring out them thumbtacks and all that tables and all that Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker had?
I'm a wrestler. I don't do weapons. No.
Or no, wait. What if we have it so that this becomes Ayesha count out match?
That's true.
That would be very good.
All three women slide in the ring at the same time. Oh, crowd
Yeah.
goes wild. See?
Exactly. And then it's like, we're gonna have to have a rematch because these women were so good they all came back in.
See, we booked it for them already. Now we'll
Exactly.
5%.
We made the groundwork now, so all they need to do is just get it done.
So you guys start on those.
So yeah, you give us a call, and our people will contact your people.
Yeah, got it all written down.
And we actually do that. Like every time we interview a wrestler and we bring up some kind of hashtag or some kind of tweet, we actually do it like after the recording. So we're not joking. Like, we'll do it.
I'm not joking either. I will be bombarding people with the share this. Just do it.
Retweet, do it.
You'll just end up noticing that your social media gets more and more fluctuated with posts that me and JT are doing trying to promote this.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I'll even give you guys an update in like 6 months. If you really want.
That would be great. That would be great. And if that ever happens, we have to have first exclusive rights for the interview after.
Deal.
Yes.
Deal.
Awesome.
But let me see. So yeah, like I said, that was all of my questions. And Jaxie said that was your last question as well.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, Ayesha, it was so fun having you on O-Face Wrestling. I mean, we definitely got to learn a lot about you. I was really excited about this interview, so I'm glad we got to do it. Did you want to share your social media with all the listeners so they know where to find you?
Okay, so you just type in @BigFemVader onto all the social media platforms, and you get my Warner Brothers worthy WWE Mae Young Classic WOS TV beautiful face. Or you could just type in Ayesha Raymond. There's only one. There is another one.
There's only one.
There's only one. That reminds me of the Highlander.
Actually, a big thank you as well. It's just been great to actually find out so much more about you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your progression with it, especially within this year. It looks like we're fingers crossed. Things will start to kind of gradually go back to normal. I'm hoping that things will start picking up on the wrestling side, and hopefully we can follow your career a lot more.
Hopefully. Thank you very much. And if things open up and you find you get in Scotland anytime soon, you're welcome at a Fierce Female show.
Oh, I definitely will try to jump on board on that point at some point.
Oh, hell yeah. And I definitely plan on following your career. And I'm assuming that your merch is available for United States. I think I might have to get one of them shirts as well. I saw a thing on Twitter. I was like, I like that. So yeah, I'm going to look into that as well.
Yeah, where can we buy merchandise just so that we can actually just kind of let anyone else listening know?
It's pinned on my Twitter, but there's a German website, there's an American website, Pro Messin Tees, there's a Japanese, and all the photographs are there as well. But there's a pinned post on my Twitter.
Great. Perfect.
All right. Yeah. So everyone, make sure you check out her social media, her merch. I will have all the links in the bio below. And also make sure you give us a sub on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you all so much for listening. And thank you again, Ayesha, for joining us today on O-Face Wrestling.
No problem.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.